About 3.5 years ago, I bought and then reviewed the AZIO Retro Classic Compact Mechanical Keyboard, a peripheral that takes clear aesthetic cues from typewriters and that I still use in my office at work. Fast forward to the start of 2023, and I'm back with another set of mechanical peripherals from AZIO, this time the Black Willow version of their premium IZO lineup, which I've been using for the past month and I'm finally ready to share my thoughts on. Before I get into it though, I do want to disclose that this time I accepted these peripherals from AZIO to review under two conditions. The first being that I can say whatever I want, so I'll do my best to share both the things that I like and don't like about these peripherals. And the second, that AZIO sponsor a giveaway for my viewers, which I'll talk about later on. That being said, here we go. The IZO collection includes a compact keyboard, standalone NumPad, and a wireless mouse, each sold individually, and upfront I'll say that they're fairly expensive, with the keyboard coming in at $140 USD, the NumPad costing $70, and the mouse $50. It's also worth noting that there are other color options available, and that this is the second generation of IZO peripherals, which use Gateron red switches instead of blues, and have a little more of a matte finish rather than pearlescent body. So, if you're looking to get a matching set, just make sure you're ordering the right ones. As of early 2023, it's also worth noting that the IZO lineup doesn't support hot swappable switches, but there will be a hot swappable version coming in Q2 of 2023. Taking a closer look at the keyboard and NumPad, both are encased in a matte black ABS plastic body that has a comfortable 8mm rounded bezel bordering the key edges. This round aesthetic is consistent throughout the IZO lineup, with no real sharp edges being found anywhere. The front row of keys is comfortably placed about 30mm above the desk, and there's a 5-degree rise from there towards the back row of keys. This angle is fixed and not adjustable. Having said that, I found the typing experience to be quite comfortable, even without using a palm rest of any kind. The IZO keycaps are also rounded, with a nice left-to-right concave profile that helps pull your finger towards the center of the key. AZIO has opted for a tritone aesthetic across the keyboard, mouse, and NumPad, with a clean light gray for the primary keys, matte black for the peripheral keys, and a few highlights in what they're calling black chrome. I think this works really well together and gives the Black Willow set a slightly understated elegance. You may have also noticed that the Black Willow's roughly 85% compact layout includes a dual function control knob that operates your computer's volume and controls the keyboard's backlighting. This knob, along with the other black chrome accent keys, is made of ABS plastic, but has an electroplated finish that looks more like polished brass, which is nice, though it can also be problematic because the polished finish is easily smudged with fingerprints. AZIO does provide alternative gray keycaps for the keyboard's spacebar and escape key, but not for the control knob, nor for the NumPad and mouse accents. Moving around the backside, we see that both the keyboard and the NumPad are equipped with USB-C ports for charging their 5000 and 1000 mAh batteries respectively. This also permits either to be used fully wired if you connect them to your computer and flip the switch into USB mode. AZIO hasn't released any formal estimates of battery life. I suspect because it varies so much depending on use and backlight preference, but in my month of use, I depleted about 35% of the keyboard's battery life, using it for about 4 to 5 hours, 3 to 4 days a week, so you shouldn't have to charge it too frequently. You'll also notice that the 18-key NumPad has a calc mode, which allows you to operate it as a standalone mechanical calculator. This is kinda neat. Once engaged, the white 9-digit LCD screen at the top of the NumPad lights up, and you can math away. It also includes dedicated function keys for percentage and square roots, as well as a suite of memory functions that only work when in calculator mode. The IZO mouse does a good job of matching the tritone aesthetic of the NumPad and the keyboard, with matte black left and right click buttons and a polished black chrome strip above the semi-transparent frosted gray base. Though the mouse is pretty bare bones when it comes to features, only offering left and right click buttons as well as a center click, its round, somewhat tall and symmetric ambidextrous form gets the job done and feels fairly ergonomic in the hand for everyday productivity work. The knurled metallic scroll wheel doesn't support any kind of ultra-smooth, high-speed scrolling, but does provide light tactile feedback while rotating, and is home to a small LED that will flash blue when switching between 3 available DPI settings, or red if the battery is charging or in need of a charge. On its underbelly, the mouse can be switched between Bluetooth and radio frequency modes, with the RF adapter being nested on the right side. This is also where you can enable Bluetooth pairing, or switch between the 1000, 1600, and 2400 DPI settings using the small button to the left of the Pixart PAW3212 sensor. Like the NumPad, the IZO mouse runs off a 1000 mAh rechargeable lithium-ion battery that I would expect to at least last a couple of months between charges. But don't worry, you can use any of the IZO peripherals while charging. Having used these peripherals for the past month, there are a few neat features I'd like to highlight, as well as a few issues I've experienced. First, both the keyboard and NumPad support multi-device pairing, with up to 3 devices being held in memory at a time. You can switch between devices on the fly by holding down on the function key and pressing 1, 2, or 3 on either device. If necessary, you can trigger pairing by holding down on the function key and either the delete or period key on the keyboard and the NumPad, respectively. I think it's interesting that 2 out of 3 of the IZO peripherals support multi-device pairing, but the mouse doesn't. For my setup, this isn't a really big deal because I usually just use them with my Mac, but you will want to keep this in mind if you need to use the mouse with multiple devices, because the RF dongle and single Bluetooth connection will only get you so far. Having said that, it's worth noting that the IZO peripherals do support both Mac and PC, as you may have expected from the cross-platform keycaps. To toggle between the two, simply press the function and home key together. Which system is selected is indicated using a faint blue LED beneath the multifunction control knob, along with the keyboard's charging and cap locks indicators. These indicators are nice, but I actually find them quite difficult to see when seated, as the height of the keys obscure them. It's not a big deal, but you will have to hunch over to check them from time to time. On a positive note, the keys are my favorite part of the IZO peripherals. As I mentioned, each of the keys is driven by non-swappable mechanical Gateron red switches, which provide a smooth, linear action that's actuated by about 45 grams and has a total travel distance of 4 mm with 2 mm of pre-travel. Ultimately, this gives the keyboard a relatively quiet operation and smooth feel that seems pretty quick for gaming and appropriate for most work environments as long as you're not slamming away at the keys. But take a listen for yourself. In addition to their smooth operation, the keycaps feel really well made. Each cap is formed with a double-shot PBT thermoplastic that has the characters laser etched to allow the white LED backlight to shine through. This gives the keys a very robust feel and the added bonus that they will never fade, something I think that's really important if you're spending this kind of money on a keyboard. I also think that the control knob is pretty neat. On its own, this will adjust your computer's volume when rotated and will mute if pressed. You do have to press pretty centrally to avoid binding the stem, but it provides a satisfying little click when properly engaged. Additionally, when used while holding the function key, you can dial the keyboard backlight brightness up and down in 10% intervals, and you can change the backlight mode with a press. There are a total of 21 backlight modes for the keyboard and 9 for the NumPad, which I'll demo now. These backlight modes are pretty neat, with a few of my favorites being the Reactive, Area Splash, and Raindrops. It's a little unfortunate that all 21 patterns aren't available for the NumPad, but to be fair, some just wouldn't work well on the smaller footprint of the NumPad. One backlight issue I've noticed is that the NumPad times out after 5 minutes of being idle, which turns off the backlight to conserve energy. While this is a good thing for battery life, it means that the NumPad is usually just blacked out on my desk because I don't engage it all that often, so at a glance, it doesn't always match the keyboard aesthetic. Aside from these few things though, I've really enjoyed using the IZO products. They feel really well made and perform like the premium peripherals they are. Overall, I've grown quite fond of the IZO Black Willow peripherals. First and foremost, they provide a nice aesthetic package, but they're also well built and feel like they'll last for years to come. Given their limited functionality and price tag, I'm not too sure that I would purchase the NumPad or the mouse on their own. But paired with the IZO keyboard, they make a lot of sense if you're trying to put together a nice, dark but classy setup. Having said that, the keyboard could easily be a standalone piece, and is one that I would gladly recommend for its high quality keys, solid build, overall function, and compact form. If you're interested in the IZO Black Willow set, make sure to follow the link I'll leave in the description of this video to enter the giveaway that I'm hosting with AZIO. The draw will be open until the end of Friday, March 3rd, 2023, and we're giving away one complete Black Willow keyboard, NumPad, and mouse set, as well as a runner-up prize, which will be the IZO Black Willow mouse. If you've missed the giveaway or can't wait that long to pick something up, I'll also include my affiliate link and a discount code in the description, which should save you 15% off at AZIO's web store. Alternatively, I'd encourage you to join their VIP program to receive the AZIO newsletter, as well as exclusive offers and promotions. Other than that, if you found this video helpful, please hit the like button, consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.